want you to kind of backtrack a little bit about growing up in your culture.
Right. So you grow up and you're completely disconnected. You know, so you've got your community. So all of your views come from, you know, there's a very small point, right? So you got your family who you're not hardly any generations removed from people. Even my family, you know, I had even my great-grandparents were just, you go to Sunday, you're a racist. You know, to church on Sunday, you're racist. All that's just bred in there. It's not even a second thought. So we're still, you know, dealing with people who have had that influence on their life. And it's watered down to some degree, but it's there subtly. It's not going to be, you know, I attack you on the street, you know, I want to yell these things at you, but when it's just me and my friends, we're going to talk like this, and that is just how things are. You know, that's just the way it is. And then also outside of that, the only other time that you see minorities is when you turn this on, right now. So you got riots, and you got thugs, and you got rappers, and you got killers. And so when you're completely, you don't have anything else to prove you wrong, right? You just see, well, that's what everybody's telling me that this is about. Right. So what we're dealing with, from my perspective, is letting you guys know that, you know, we're dealing with damaged minds, just how we, you know, on both sides really, and it's a different type of damage, but it's the same thing. You know, we've got just being completely brainwashed down to the core. These people, that's a different type of damage that we kind of have to accept and understand in a certain way as well.
So just to pick your brain a little bit, so, I mean, because we don't have this experience, right? So like, for us, you have this experience right now, you're in a room full of black people. Right? This is how black people talk, really. Like, I don't think I censor myself much if you weren't here. This is how we talk. That's how we are. So, if I was a fly on the wall in a room full of white people in the South, what's that conversation like?
That's a great question.
Even more.
Yeah.
And it's exactly right. And that's why I say it's washed down to a very deep, subtle type of racism.
Right.
You know, it's not direct, but it's there just as strong, and you're not any less racist because you do it behind closed doors as that you yell it in the street, right? So we have people with a mindset that I'm not racist. I have a really close friend, but he's a perfect example of being completely different than me and being just raised in a really traditional family with these certain views, and we go back and forth a lot, you know. But he's of the mindset that he's not a racist, you know. He told me the other day, I stopped at Red Box, I talked to this black dude for like 10 or 15 minutes, right? Right? But this is what this mindset produces, just this completely serious thought of, you know, cool, I'm cordial with some of them, you know, but they have this mindset still. It's a rotten, deep.
Yeah, I'm not going to put him on blast, but what's a subtle race? You know, what's subtle racism like? Give me an example of it.
Okay, so his viewpoints is, and he'll say racist things. He'll even use the term like just like monkey brain, like basically saying, yeah, just say I'm not racist, but turn around, you get them all together, you know, it's just that mindset, and they all turn like all, you know, everything is violence and death, and they don't. And there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing to change that mindset. They are not ever exposed to anything outside of that very, very narrow mindset. You know?
Because they're comfortable there.
Yeah,
They're not going to go outside of a zone that they're uncomfortable with, because America embraces the fact that, you know, like you're the great American boy, right? You're a Christian, you go to church, you go to this school, and you graduate from Harvard, you got a good family, you stay in a good neighborhood, right? So, you know, you're never going to embrace something that's uncomfortable for you to do that.
And I think too,
on both sides, not just on one side, but on both sides.
And we've created, and I think it goes all the way back to the very primal thing of this team conditioning, right? It's why sports are so successful. It's why, you know, if you're a Gators fan, you hate Tennessee or Florida State or something, and you don't have anything else out, you know, that's the only thing that you guys have that's off base, one thing, right? I like this team, you like that team. And I think we deal with the same thing. We got a million things in common, and we get caught up on the one thing that we don't, and it completely defines us, right? So we're in this primal team mode, right? You're an anthill, and the grasshopper's coming by. All these ants don't even think about it. They turn, this ain't me, you know. Let's get this, you know. And I think what we have is the same thing going on. Anytime white people with this view of black people are like this. Anytime that there's something massively pro-black, they have the opinion, I can't be pro-black and pro-white. It's like, it's my team or your team, you know, and it's hard for them to realize, like, anytime you're saying, you know, anything for us, they see, oh, that's against us, or that's our fault, or that's taken away from us. So what we have to do is remove that mindset, you know, similar to what I've been able to see. Let's take it away, and let's take away color, and let's look at just the United States and look at where the problem's at. If everybody's agreeing, you know, what's going on.
You know, Jay, I think we also listened to the conversation yesterday that everybody brings a different skill to this, and it has to be all hands on deck. And I agree with you, people have different realities. I work in an environment with a lot of people who are from the South, who are in that good old boy network, in the military, very right. I usually don't engage in this because I don't believe you can change people's realities. So after some drinks, sometimes in the road, like, we have these discussions. And this is part of what inspired me to say, we just have to empower ourselves. We have to do it amongst us. There's no change. Like, I had a very logical debate. I think I'm an average intelligent guy, and I laid out the facts.
You're above average intelligence.
Well, it went back to a Bill O'Reilly quote. Like, yeah, I mean, he answered with nonsense. And what I think is, we have to empower ourselves. We have to work on ourselves. But I appreciate you so much being here. I appreciate your candidness, and perhaps what like-minded individuals bring is the ability to change that community from the inside. Because from the outside, it's impossible.
Right. And I would say too that you know, we're dealing with something that is definitely like a spell on somebody. You know, because most people inherently are nice. All people. You know, you're unless there's something wrong with you. You see somebody on the floor, your first reaction is to pick them up, not bash them in the head again, right? So you have even people that are battling this culture and battling this mindset because they run into a black dude and it's like, man, I got along with this guy like he's my brother, you know. But they're fighting this outside. It's two different signals coming in, you know. It's a culture that we have to change as well, and we have to be mindful that these guys can be on our team, you know, and they're just damaged as well. We've both been damaged in different ways.
Right. You know, it's a very good point there. You think about it. He's talking about the damage of white America, and that subconscious of like those different points. Like when you say black pride or black love or black power, black anything, it's like whoa, what you guys trying to do? But it's also like even damage within ourselves, where like how we kill ourselves as black people, and all but except with empathy and love, like where we're brainwashed in such a way and through our system and cycles that it's like a double brainwashing going on. It's like we're gonna brainwash white Americans. Like, guess what? You guys are better. You're the majority. You inherit this. These people are different. These people are da 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 da. So that has generations of for whites to even posture themselves differently. That has to get rinsed out. And then for us to even be as the oppressed, right? So you gotta think, for 300 years, whites got all the praise. They were called sir. They were called master. We were called boy. We were called shit. We were called whatever. So in 300 years, a whole culture of people had so much, on top of our oppression, they had so much uplifting. So this gap is so wide, and I love what you said about, though, from an American standpoint, if you look at all Americans as green, what is the issue? Which is part of an analogy I use in regards to us banding together, and I believe that, bro, what's your name again? I'm sorry. Jelani. Yeah. I just call you Pilot, but I strictly want to be like a pilot, and I know we gotta work with that. Maybe exchange some coaching for like pilot coaching. But one thing I thought about was pretend that another life force stronger than us made its presence known on Earth, like something more technologically sound than us, some kind of UFO, some other life force was more dominant and more advanced than us as Earthlings, human beings. And they came and they kidnapped 4 million human beings. First of all, every country in the world would unite to fight this life form greater than all of us. They threaten humankind.
You showed that on Independence Day.
Right. We will all become brothers, black, white, Russian, Korean, everybody in general become brothers real quick. There's now something bigger than us. But now 4 million human beings from all different continents and countries, and 4 million human beings were kidnapped and brought to planet X as slaves. Humans were slaves now on this other planet because they had more authority than us, or they were more technologically sound than us, For 300 years, human beings were now on planet X. But after 300 years, planet X said, you know what, humans? Your enslavement is done, you guys are now free. But you're still under the authority of planet X. Would those human beings not want to be, even 300 years later, would they not want to be the independent, free-living human beings they once knew their ancestors were? Will they not still be earthlings and humans? It's no different than us as Africans kidnapped and brought here to America for 300 years. All we're saying is basic human rights that all of us as humans would want if we were brought to some other strange planet and then kept in captivity there, but then made to stay under the rule of that planet. We're just Africans, the descendants of Africans, the heirs of Africans who were brought here. It's just like 450 years later that we've just been under the rule of a conqueror. And so again, it all boils down to us realizing, awakening off that. And I think our independence and nationhood has to be the goal. And I think that, then we tie in all those components and comprehensive programs from political education, economic education, entrepreneurship training, and Black Wall Street, a Black Wall Street district in Baltimore or in Atlanta or Detroit or wherever it's created, a Black Wall Street district is the pilot for what that looks like when you put, you don't just have rec centers to babysit kids, you have rec centers to actually educate kids on their lost education. You don't have rec centers just to be there to have the parents to play pool, or rec centers for parents to learn how to parent.
Jay, how do you think you've done an amazing job of making entrepreneurship sexy, cool? You've gone to these places and people have realized it's another way. I guess this is an open question. Like, how do you make consciousness cool again? Because we've witnessed over and over again what everybody thought was the apotheosis of like the Black consciousness. Because W.E.B. Du Bois talks about like the talented 10. That was like the early 1900s. It was still like 10% of the people get it, the other 90% don't.
Right.
And sometimes when this conversation is being had, anybody that's under whatever age you want to put it at checks out. Like,
Right. Well, I mean, this
how do you
is,
make that cool? That's the open question.
Right,
How do
you could look
I
at
want to be a part of that.
You
How
could
do I be a part of that?
almost like this, bro. You could look around the room and see that. Who here is over 40? This is it right here, bro. You in cargo shorts and butter sneakers. Yeah, we didn't people. That's part of what my mission was with YMC. My YMC was like, now we gonna have pride around our red, black, and green flag. Trust me, we gonna swag it out. We're gonna have pride around our nation. But a lot of times I don't even like the term conscious.
But I want to say, like, okay, so this brother's talking about going to the middle school. How that it has to start earlier. Like, how is it that the students that he's working with or has worked with, they want to be a part of it? Like, it has to appeal at an earlier level, man.
Because you gotta stop the foolishness. You gotta stop the foolishness.
As black people, we appeal to money, flashiness, and this, that, and the third. I think if we make it seem like, hey, you go out here, you can be your own boss, you can do this, you can do that, and you help them understand the money that they can potentially make and not never work for someone, and help them understand the, you know what I'm saying? Mentally, we like money. We like to do what we want to do, and I think you just got to make it cool around them understanding that you don't have to go out here and do this and sell drugs. You can go out here and start a business and be successful and employ people and begin to make it cool.
What I was
You know,
gonna say,
and I think that changes minds.
And still keep your, your sense of just being yourself. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the main thing is being open-minded enough to understand that you can grow, but at the same time still, not forget where you came from.
look, this is the ironic thing about this, is that when I was teaching y'all in this school, the kids already get it. They can't really put a name to it. They can't identify it, but they understand business. They understand product development. They understand commercialism. They just don't know the terms to put it into, right? So I if they are getting it like that, right, at an early age, we're talking about 12, 13 years old, right? What are their parents thinking, right? Because a lot of times I didn't have problems with the kids. The kids were open-minded and wanted to learn. It was the adults that were coming to the school acting a fool, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and so you got to formulate that concept. So it's a top-down and a bottom-up approach.
Comprehensive. But I want to say, are you saying for entrepreneurship or community consciousness?
Community conscious. I have done a lot of volunteer work in school, and I think it's clear, but I'm a pilot. And I think one thing that thing unlocks, you take a kid flying, and they're like, man, I never thought I could be able to fly an airplane. If I can do this, I can do anything. I don't care if they become a pilot, but they're like, man, I never thought I would be in an airplane. I'm flying. It's like a driver's
So they
license.
have to see more of you. They have to see more of you. They have to see. You gotta see more of Black. I'm gonna let you finish your point, and then I wanna say something.
Whoa,
And
whoa,
not
whoa,
just that,
whoa,
we
whoa.
should stop selling ourselves short with money. Quit thinking it's about money. It's not.
True.
Teach them,
Follow your passion
educate
for
them.
money.
It's not about the money.
Let them see the example.
It's about the influence of power. You have to teach them, and don't make it about money. I think that's where we all lose,
Right.
and all this competition of amongst each other. I think that's where that comes from. Our kids are much smarter than that. They're more intelligent than what we give ourselves credit for. So at the end of the day, it's not really about money. That's not the golden nugget, money.
But
Yeah, you
we
gotta
have
follow
to
your
be-
passion.
but we
You-
have to be in front of them, and what they see, we have to give them the example,
I know.
because if
I
all
work with
they see is
kids.
what's
I know.
being pushed up, no, and I know this, but I spoke with you yesterday, you're a shoe designer.
Yeah.
I've never met a Black shoe designer before, I was very impressed, very proud of you. You understand what I'm saying? But I never, at my age, I've never met one. You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
that's why we say YMC do role models, right?
Right.
It's like us to do role models and position ourselves differently from a standpoint of being entrepreneurs. Where we're ties into the social component is saying, kind of what bro was saying, is that you could be socially conscious without having a backpack on,
Right.
without having
Right.
twisting your hair,
Right.
without being, you can do that if you want. You don't have to do that if you want. And I think that's the part of where we brand it, and that's going to make it cool to be socially conscious. I even hate the word conscious, because I was conscious. It's like, enlightened, aware, whatever. We got to come up with something for that.
Right.
But the whole point is, I do agree with TT, and to some degree, now, economics is important. Don't get it messed up. Money is what moves the world and what excites things. But if we have a larger objective than money, something higher than ourselves, which is our independence and freedom, and everybody's, it's like trending. If that gets trending, which is just making it popular.
You know, one thing we tried to do, and it didn't work because I moved out of Michigan, but myself and some of my peers, we were going to take ownership over certain schools. So amongst us, we were like, we can all be in one of these schools once a week. Like, they are our schools. I'm sick of asking for help. Like, they are our schools. So we are going to be in there. We're going to sit down with leadership and say, we just want an office, and we want to help coach whatever team, whatever sport we're good at, and we have to be there. And I think that's part of it, but I also would like, I think I articulated before, but, you know, sometimes people in communities where there's a lot of ignorance get made fun of for being nerds, being smart, being interested. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you make it, you know, you can still be yourself, like you're saying, but being successful is cool.
You got to rebrand the black culture.
Let me say this. You gotta do what you do 110%. So whatever you do, right? Like, you make shoes, right? So
And I'm a female engineer.
and you're a
It's
female.
like,
So look. So check this out. So check this out. If you do what you do, I know, right? If you do what you do 110%, right? And you add an educational component to that, a volunteerism component to everything that you do, right? And you go out on purpose to do this for these black children, right? You're a pilot, you're a shoemaker, you bring some shoes to the school, and maybe you do a day where you're making shoes, right? They've seen you, they've connected your craft, and you gotta be consistent with it, right? You gotta come back, because there will be that one kid, when you coming back? Right? They'll always ask you that. And as long as you're doing that, I think you'll be fine. But I think we're not consistent, one. And then two, that thing that you know that you need to be doing, right? It's blocked by money sometimes, right? Because you got to be at work from 8 to 5. I got to pay this rent, but I really like making dresses, or I like rapping, or I like doing this, or whatnot. So there's some barriers there where you're talking about getting past the workforce and being able to do exactly what you want to do. Right, because a lot of people will tell you in the world that they followed their passion first, and then the money came.
I did.
And that's true.
Right.
It's true.
And I will say
So
this,
it'll take
though.
some sacrifice.
Right. I will say this also. I think that's why it's so important, this Black Wall Street concept, Black Wall Street district, because now, and I'm talking about, it starts in Baltimore, and we build it out as we scale it, right? Scalability. Everything we learned in class today, right? We scale it, and what it does is, so now we're teaching entrepreneurship, we're doing, it's all so comprehensive, right? So we're teaching our social side, political side, and economic side. But now you say, all right, everybody from even outside of Baltimore commits to Black Wall Street, their talents. So Black Wall Street, so Black Wall Street, we have to be self-sustained as much as possible. So our women wear shoes. So instead of you spending $3,000 on a pair of Giuseppe's, go buy from a black designer. Get her rich. Instead of you going to use this for, right, this resource for whatever, go do that. So it would take, I think if, again, we lead in this from a YMC movement standpoint of us understanding being no role models, us understanding being enlightened, but us understanding the economic component, which is so dope. We look at all our leaders, and I honor them to death. But what many of them didn't bring to the table, Marcus Garvey did to a large degree.
Economic aspect.
Was the economic aspect, a real economic action plan. Like, what's our economic action plan to stimulate our economy? So for us and for me, so what I'm saying is like, my plan is, and it even ties in against to the group we're creating on this JMA program, is if we can control the land, the real estate, in a concentrated community, and own all the land within the community or within the radius, we then can control what goes on in those properties, in those businesses.
Right.
And then we can call on the world of black people, the nation of black people, to say, come support our first black Wall Street district since 19, whatever that was, that Tulsa was burnt down. And give us something to rally, right. And give us something to rally around, saying, hey, if you do this, and this is your talent, if you're a psychiatrist, if you're whoever, if you're whatever, book a date, come through.
I think this compounds what was discussed yesterday about exit strategies. I believe 100% about education. The engineer thing is amazing. I know how hard it is, calculus 8, whatever you went through. That's great, right? I ain't gonna talk about this. There is somebody that went to law school. We all have skills, but I think there has to be like an exit strategy from that. Like, after you've mastered your craft, then you work with black, you exit into black independence.
That's what I'm doing.
Like, there has to, and this is why, I mean, we're preaching to the choir, obviously, here. But that has to be, I think that has to be part of the preaching, is like, we want you to go become a doctor and then open your practice. We want you to be a successful MBA and then take that money and start your own business. We want, but like, that has to be the exit to do the university, do the work, and then come back to your business.
Can I say something real quick?
Our youth are getting exposed by all the other bullcorn. We already naturally, without us even knowing, we already attracted to royalty. Everybody keeps saying it. No matter what, you are already going to chase what you're comfortable with, which is the freedom to enjoy, the kingdom that our real forefathers have built for us. You know what I'm saying? We are naturally the heirs of pretty much the whole world if you go far back. You know what I'm saying? But our youth aren't getting exposed to those things. It's my first time meeting a black designer. Today was my first day meeting a black woman pilot, a black female pilot downstairs earlier. You know what I'm saying? So we get constantly exposed to all kind of negative crap, and your brain just sees what's available and picks the option that's going to get you closest to that royalty feeling. Whether that's selling dope, whether it's, changing your image and going Wall Street, whether it's, whatever you have to do, your mind is going to mold yourself to succeed. You're going to try to be the best dope dealer if you try to do it. You know what I'm saying? Or so we have to just expose our people and our youth and even our elders that, look, being black is fly. You know what I'm saying? Being black is fly, not just, you could be the doctor, you could be this, you could be, but we really convincing them that, you being yourself and doing what you want to do, that's what's up.
It's a universal thing. It's being universally sound to kind of like mold yourself at any event. Like, I'm from Detroit, and I've been all through the hood, but that never stopped me from going to higher plateaus. Like, just like she said, she's an engineer. I'm an architect. I graduated for architecture. But I make sure, I was just back in my city last weekend. I went to go check on my people, and they looking at me like, well, what are you gonna do in so many words? What do you, we need jobs, bro. What you gonna do? So that's why I'm like, okay, exactly. because they still and I also I done spend time in the streets as well, so I got both. I'm equally equally yoked.
You see what Broker brings to the table as an architect and building a Black Wall Street in Baltimore, building a Black Wall Street in Detroit, and all the towns we can bring to the table. And so I want Tony to go, and we're gonna go around the room to everybody, and we'll kind of do a wrap-up session. Everybody give the word, opinions, thoughts, whatever.
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Jay, for having this event, inviting us out and everything. And me as a young Black entrepreneur, you inspired me to do better. You kind of woke me up. I think even for today, even the whole event, like me and my brother Jeremiah, we flew out here Thursday, and we seen so many Black entrepreneurs. They had a Black Entrepreneurs event across the street.
Mm-hmm.
It was like we seen a lot of Black entrepreneurs that have like clothing businesses, suit businesses, all kind of businesses. It was like 1,200 Black entrepreneurs, but like this has been the most amazing week of my life. Cause like I've seen so many Black entrepreneurs. Like I just thought I didn't know it was this many Black entrepreneurs. Like pilots, it was architects and engineers. I didn't know it was so many successful Black people, but this was an eye-opening event for me. And like I think that this can change a lot of